don't buy, don't invest in Nigeria. Real estate is a scam. Now, this is something that we've heard over time, especially when I post videos. There's always that one comment of, I'm never going to buy in Nigeria. It's a scam, blah, blah, blah. The money I put how many years ago is still the same amount or something like that. So it's just emotional. So first of all, I want to talk about emotional buying. Is it even wrong to even do emotional buying? Let me take it from this angle. Growing up, when I was growing up, right, my dad, and you can check this is an Igbo thing because I'm Igbo. I remember when my dad was building a house in the village. Now, before this, we had a house that we used to stay. I can't remember how that house came about. So I just grew up and saw the house. Maybe his dad had a land and they built something. But I remember this house so much because it was cool. Downstairs was like the compound still had my cousins and some of the rooms there. And then our own section downstairs was parlor and a bar. It was a very big parlor where my dad stays with his friends. Then upstairs was like our own living room. And then there was like a balcony and the upstairs had like the kitchen and everything. So it was nice because when you're craving something at night, you don't have to go downstairs. So that's why I remember it so well. But then my dad wanted to build something at some point when he felt like he had made money. So he wanted to build something befitting. He had also built in the east where we live and yes, like in Enugu. So but I saw the joy when he was building that one in the village. He would tell people like, I'm building in the village. Like when he's having a conversation with his friends, when he's, checking the project out, there was this excitement. And I asked why. Now in my village, they used to call my dad Akurulo. In Igbo, what that means is your wealth has reached home. That's why. So for a typical Igbo man, that's why you've heard things like Igbo man living in one bedroom in Lagos but has a mansion in the village. A typical Igbo man, that pride for him is that he was able to build something in his village. Then no, now a lot of us, our thinking has changed in so many things. But then for them, that was their pride, having to build something, even if it's 2 rooms. Then if you don't have money to build a mansion, wow, they take building houses in the village very important, very serious. I have uncles, almost all my cousins, all my uncles, who went abroad many years ago. They all have houses there. Like they take their time. They will send things, like they will import doors. You can also check that's his name, Stephen Ndoka's YouTube channel on how Igbos have abandoned mansions in the village. It's because for them, it was Akurulo, wealth reaching home. It was a thing that you spend so much time and money building a house that you only come during Christmas. Now, is this a financial investment? The answer is no. But for them, it's an emotional investment. It's a thing of everybody in their life will tell you what is your achievement. For them, it's their personal achievement. If that same house, because when you're building, the cost is typically the same everywhere, but what changes is the cost of land. So let's say that same house now, he had to buy a land in Lagos and build there. He will make more money if he built that house in Lagos, but he'll be more satisfied having the house in the village because it's like, oh, my wealth came home. So now that's a definition of emotional buying. And it's not just Nigerians or Igbos. People do it. You see, foreigners say things like, oh, my holiday home in Zanzibar. I went to Zanzibar. I love the home. I bought a holiday home there. And they will not even come there in like 3 years. Or they'll have emotional buying of like, this is where I grew up. We were poor and I grew up here. So I want to buy a place there. For them, it's not like financial investment, but it's something like they want to look back and say, this is where, when I was here with my mom, we could barely eat. And today I'm able to afford to buy a property there, right? And then we also have the people, like I said, who live abroad, right? Because this video is literally like targeted to those people. So they live abroad and so many years later, they come back to Nigeria. And for some reason, maybe not the right way, so they are stuck and they come back with nothing. And all they have to do now is to fall back on this house that they bought many years ago or they built many years ago in Nigeria. Now, personally, as an achievement as well, financial achievement or financial investment is also very important. But someone like me, I would buy 10 houses in Nigeria before I buy one house in America. Because if you follow my channel, you know that I love Nigeria. I am an ambassador of this country. I believe in this country. I believe in establishing things in this country before any other thing. That is me, right? That is my belief. But because I'm also not a billionaire, I will also make some financial investments, which is, okay, before I'll build or buy 5 houses in the East, I will buy one first in Lagos for financial purpose. Do you get what I mean? Because a land here is typically higher. So when people come to say things like, if people it's just emotional, you do realize that it's also okay for an emotional buy. I mean, you need to be in a good place and have money for you to even buy something, emotionally. Now, let's also talk about financial investment. Can having a property in Nigeria really sustain you abroad? The plain black and white answer will be no, because no one expects to use naira to sustain dollar. In fact, that is one of the biggest problems people have. They start converting it. Like, how do you expect me to buy a house for this amount? That's this thing. How do you expect me to collect rent of 8 million? That's just $9,000. That will finish in 1 month. That's because of the conversion that is happening, right? What is an investment? An investment is something that you can reap for today. You might invest in emotion, like I lived here, I grew up here, and I want to buy a house here. You might also invest for the future, which is, as I'm making money abroad, I might not be able to buy a house abroad, right? Because of the mortgage and, the payments, everything. So some people will say, do you know what? I can buy a house in Nigeria if I'm able to save this amount of money, but that same money will not buy me a house abroad. So let me buy a house in Nigeria and just know that, okay, I have a house in Nigeria for fallback. In case I come back, in case anything happens, let me know that I have something here. Now, when they buy that house, they put it up for rent. When they put it up for rent, some people close it. Like, I saw a certain content creator that recently bought a house. They closed it. They've bought a house. They've bought it. They closed it. They didn't buy it in an estate so that they will not need to be paying service charge. They closed their house and they went back to the UK. They have their reason. Maybe sometime like I said, there's also future. So when you have your kids, some people these days, what they do is that when their kids get to a certain age, they bring them back to Nigeria and come back. Some people move abroad because of their kids, while some people also move back because of their kids. So they're like, okay, now before we use this money to do something else, now that we can afford it, let's buy this thing. So that when we come back, we know that no matter what, we have a house. We don't need to start staying in a hotel. That's valid. Why some people also do this house, and you know what they say? Let me put it out for rent. So they put it out for rent depending on the area, because area is also very important. Depending on the area. So maybe it's an area where they can get their rent for 15 million, 8 million, 7 million. Depends on how many bedrooms, it depends on it, but this is yearly. Now remember, as a landlord in Nigeria, servicing a house is not that we don't have a lot of furnished apartments in Nigeria. It's usually self-furnished, meaning you don't have to deal with buying a TV for the person, microwave, furniture, things that could easily spoil. So even when a tenant moves out, what you're going to be doing to the house is basic, which is why they always take like caution fee in case tenant messes up the house so that they can just repaint, repair a few things. Do you get what I mean? So the cost of maintaining that house that you're renting out is not crazy. And if you're now also lucky, or you do your findings and you have a good area, you can lease it. What that means is companies come into Nigeria every day, and these companies do not buy houses. They don't buy land. No. What they do is that they say, okay, we're coming to Nigeria we want our MD, our blah, blah, blah to be in Nigeria for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. They pay. A friend of mine just called me now and said that, she has an apartment, Airbnb. In case somebody wants to come in, they use it for Airbnb. I asked how much is it. Said it's in Lekki's 18 million. And she said that for the past how many years, a company had leased it. Do you get what I mean? So she didn't buy it. That's another part of real estate I'll come to later. So a company had taken it for like 5 years, and they didn't renew again. So imagine you buy a house and you're able to get that. Now, this 18 million in Nigeria, or 8 million or 7 million, no matter the amount it is, let's get a figure and stick to it. So let's say 7 million is the rent. And that 7 million is $8,000. What that $8,000 can do for you is not much compared to what it would do in Nigeria. So you know what you do? You make that money into your Nigerian savings, which is, you can decide that the amount I'll typically send to Nigeria, let me use these things and be taking care of it. Does that make sense? So I know a landlord that gave an instruction that they should be paying his rent into, he split it, like he wrote it. So he told the lawyer, like, when my rent comes, pay this to my parents, pay this to this. So instead of the usual money that he would send for maintenance and things like this, instead of changing that dollar to naira, he's now spending that actual naira. At that time, so it's taking away that money he would have sent. So, but when I say things like he's surviving on it, it's not the full thing. It's not as if that's what he's surviving in. No, that money is just helping him to take care of the needs that he would have taken care of in Nigeria. And at the same time, the house is still there for any time he's ready to do something with the house. That house can help him take loans, things like that. There are so many things that you want to buy. I wanted to do a solar. I didn't want to pay off. And they said that if I don't want to pay off, that if I'm renting, I should bring my whatever, this is how much I'll cost. But if I have a house, I should bring my deed. And it was even cheaper because they felt like, oh, if you have a house, there is more at stake. So you see what that house has now done. That's given now an opportunity for me to pay that thing installment. So my point is, when they say, can you survive? No, you cannot you cannot survive from naira to dollar. But that investment can now become something that will grow. Either it's an emotional investment, either it's for the future. So for some people, it's even for their kids. I have friends today that live in Lagos, and the houses they're staying is the house that their parents left for them. So that's an investment that their parents made for their kids. So they don't have to pay rent. They've never had to pay because that's the house that their parents left for them. Because when they grew, they decided that they didn't want to be abroad. They stayed here. So they stayed back. I'm saying this because there's always this thing of, oh, don't buy, you cannot make it. Ask yourself, why? Why do I want to go into this real estate? What kind of money? And the thing is that a lot of us keep looking for, that's why this Ponzi scam, like, it always feels like if I make 50K, I have to make it back tomorrow. No. Like I have to make 100 tomorrow. How will I get double of my this? Yeah. There are some houses, like I mentioned, that people buy off plan 70 million. The next year they're about to sell it is 180 million because development came fast to that area. You've made your money and back. But in Nigeria, that 180 million might not do what it will do for you abroad. So it's not the money you use abroad. It's the money you use for Nigeria, especially if you still have plans of coming back to Nigeria. One of the mistakes people make when moving back to Nigeria is when they want to start moving that they start planning. No. You want to move, you start buying, you start putting all those things, you start putting your fixed deposit. Is when you're back. That's why I say people come back and they don't work. They just have like businesses now. They don't actually need to go and do 9 to 5 or something. You're wondering why. No, it's because they made that investment. I know a lady that was in the States. Things were like it wasn't the way it was supposed to be. Things were crazy. It wasn't going fine for her. She's like, you know what? I'm just going to come back. Her parents left the house for her in Surulere as that's an investment. So she took one part, before she came back, she told the lawyer in charge like they should give the other people quick notice so that she'll be staying there. She's taking rent from one part and she's staying in the other side. And she's using the rent she's doing, because that time when she was taking the rent and sending it to UK, it wasn't doing anything. But now she's valuing it. And tomorrow, that house, she can put it out in the market if she wants to move to another location and sell. That becomes an investment that her parents made for her. So when you see people making investments and you just come and say, no, we're not, see, people on this channel, we're not looking for a Ponzi scheme. We're not looking for that kind of money. No. So when people put those comments like, no, I'd rather buy in the UK, it's fine. I'd rather buy in America, It's fine. I'd rather buy in Canada. Again, it is fine. But don't fault someone that is doing it. I have a complex where the 6 apartments were taken by someone that doesn't live in Nigeria. So instead of yearly rent, he used it as short lets. You know, in short lets, you put it on Airbnb, you're earning in dollars, and because it's in a good location, good environment, he's already booked for Christmas. And he has the connects. You know, business as well is connect. Like he has people coming in and out. So once they come in and out, they just stay in his building. Managing it is less because he tries not to. He doesn't allow parties and all those kind of things that can destroy his property. Is he going to say that that's what he's surviving on in the States? No. But that doesn't take away the fact that that is his investment. Some people come back to Nigeria after a while. I have a lot of friends that are like, people contact me, what's your child's school? I want to put my child in the school every other day. Now, when they come back, they use that their Nigerian investment to pay that Nigerian school fees. And you want to know it's because they knew that once my kids, I'm going to leave my kids here this amount. When my kids get to this stage, they will come back to Nigeria. So because of that, they start saving their naira and use it. I know people say, oh yeah, there's inflation, things come up, but again, 1 million has always been a huge money for a long time and always be. Some people have never seen 1 million bulk. Do you get? So it's not as if there was ever a time when things are getting more expensive, but there's always been a time when there's always been poverty. There's always been those that have money. I don't know if you guys get what I mean. So an investment, whether it's emotional, whether it's financial, is valid. All depends on where are you in your life. I saw this article from the owner of Paystack on how he was renting a condo in Ikoyi. People felt like, you're wasting money, you could buy it. No, he doesn't. He's leasing, not even rent because you're paying yearly. No, he leased it. He can afford it. And he mentioned something like that. His stockpile can pay it forever. You know how much he makes. So it's not even about buying, selling. No, it's about where you are in life. This is where he is in life. Buying a house also can be expensive. I'll make another video on that, on my experience. Buying a house can be expensive where you are in your life. Not actually buying. Obviously, buying is expensive, but I mean the other charges that you don't prepare for. So some people think that, this house costs this amount of money. Let me just go and buy it and keep it. But they don't make preparation for the other amount. Why some people buy their piece? Like, no, he wants to rent. Like, I want to be renting. I can afford to do this. And it's fine by me. I'm on my own. I can he can even get up, go to the UK, stay in the UK for 6 months, come back. Like that is the kind of freedom that he has built for himself. So you will not say he doesn't have money because he doesn't have a house. There are a lot of billionaires that have only 2 houses because they're not interested in this rents coming and going. So, when it comes to investment, I feel like everybody should get a financial advisor. That will help you and understand finances. But when you just come and be saying things like, no, I cannot buy in Lagos, it's a scam. I cannot buy in the East, it's a scam. I cannot buy here. Lagos real estate, the one I invested in how many years? If you go to club with that money, will it come back? No, will it double? If you had gone to club to spend that money, that's like saying that you spent a certain amount of money going to school. Is that not an investment? You invested in your future. And some people, they'll say, that investment hasn't yielded anything because I haven't gotten a job. You invested in your future. When people take courses, go to all these schools that are expensive, it's not because maybe they're investing in something. They'll say they want to go to Harvard because they want to have the Harvard thing. It's an investment. It's also an investment. Why someone else will say, why would I use $10,000 for a month course? Constantly investing in yourself. Investment is many ways. So discouraging somebody that wants to invest in their business, that wants to invest for either emotional reasons, personal reasons, whatever it is an investment at the end of the day. Like I said, I've seen people who came back to the country and they're just like, you know what? I can't do this again. I can't work again. Thank God I've been able to buy a house in Nigeria. Let's just start from there. And so nobody's ever saying that even if you're collecting rent of 200 million, which obviously there is no rent of 200 million, but even if you're collecting that rent, that is what will sustain you in America, that's false. But that can be part of it. That's why it's called multiple streams of income. Take here, you put it here. Some people have 9 to 5 jobs because that 9 to 5 takes care of their daily needs. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the comment section. My name still remains Serahdonald, and thank you for watching. Bye.